believe like that is not at all what I thought it was going to be. This is awesome, you know.
I mean, it's also because I think the group dynamics really determine ultimately or dictate what kind of experience people will have. You know? It really depends on who's in the class.
Right.
Yeah. So like I think you cannot really have one set of expectations because
it's going to always be different.
Exactly. There's all the variables there.
I think that's what makes it interesting, and that's what makes it like facilitating the best part, because you get to see all that.
That's actually a good question.
Yeah. You guys still have donuts left?
Yeah, do you want one?
Oh my gosh, maybe when we're done.
Instead of the donuts.
Yeah, so just pretend like there's no equipment here. I know it's hard.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I mean, we're just gonna have a casual conversation and you're gonna do most of the talking, and I'll just be asking some questions.
Okay, cool.
I'm ready whenever.
Okay. All right, so let's just start with telling a little bit about yourself. So your name, your work here, your role, like working at DSA also, and then how long you've been in this position.
Okay. Right now, so my name is Jennifer Davis, and I'm the Stabilization and Resource Coordinator for Metropolitan Improvement District. And my role is to help people who are homeless become stable, whether that be jobs or housing. And I also am starting to work with the ambassadors for that same reason. And then I also facilitate the prosperity agenda.
And when did you first hear about Impact, and what did you hear?
Last year, I think it was in the middle of the year last year. And just that we were going to be facilitating a curriculum to help with our retention.
And what was your initial involvement?
A participant in the first pilot class.
And how did that go?
It went well. It was not what I had expected at first. It helped me think about the things that I don't really have the time, I guess, to think about. Not consciously stop and think about where I want to be, what is the critical thinking that I'm doing, and how it's prevented me from moving forward, which is like really inspirational, and it's helped me a lot, actually, just with my position in general, because it's a new position. So creating that and seeing what that looks like, this curriculum has been really beneficial for that for me.
Yeah. Can you give an example of that? How that helps you?
Yes. Yeah. So the inner critic was a big one for me, because we are the #1 second chance employer in Seattle metropolitan area. So with my past, trying to build a career or move forward in something that's helpful for other people and productive for my personal life, it seemed far-fetched. My inner critic was telling me that I wouldn't be able to accomplish that, and I have accomplished a lot in just the 3 years I've been here at the Metropolitan Improvement District. So it's been very helpful.
So when you talk about your inner critic, does it also have influence on confidence levels too?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. So not feeling like I have the skills to even talk to people in the corporate office would hinder my growth, because a lot of the people in the corporate office have insight, good advice to give me, and help me to progress and hopefully end up in the corporate office one day. Yeah.
And how has Impact helped you with starting those conversations? Like, was it only the confidence part, or were there also other components in the curriculum or maybe in the class that helped you with it?
I can't remember what the curriculum's called, but driving in the rear view, that was really helpful to tell my story in an empowering way. A lot of people are they're shocked by it at first, but then they're kind of amazed about how you can rise up from those ashes, and it's really inspirational for me and exciting to do that, to be able to tell my story in a way that is uplifting, encouraging, as opposed to my inner critic telling me that I'm not worthy or I wouldn't be able to accomplish that.
So, well, obviously, or wait, like what we just talked about, I just was interested in that too. So, yeah, what makes the impact curriculum in particular interesting to you?
So there was this one, this is the first cohort that I'm co-facilitating, and there's a man that I've worked with on the clean team for 3 years or so, and he's really stuck in his ways. He's an older guy, and he came in the very first class, he's like, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks and stuff like that, and that's before we had started it all, and I was just laughing. I'm like, okay, well, let's sit through the class and let's see how we do here, you know? And by the end of the class, he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my mindset is so fixed, you know? And I'm like, it's only the end of the class. It was really inspirational, it gave me goosebumps. I was like, wow, look at, like, you know, this particular person already saying that they can see the hindrance we put on ourselves and the closed mindset and what it can do to, I mean, not only in our career, but our personal life especially, and dealing with family and everything like that. It was really good. It was very interesting to see that happen. And you can see people's like wheels turning, so to speak, and then their values and morals, I think, are put on the forefront throughout the whole curriculum, I think. You know, what means something to them, what they want to work on. And I think for me personally, that's something that I hold close to me, is people's morals and values. I think it's really interesting how we all have like minds in that sense. Like, it usually comes down to family or career or with this company, sobriety, or, you know, like, it's very interesting to me.
How do you think that the class, or whoever's teaching the class, or a combination of both, of the curriculum is able to break through people's hard set mindsets like that? Like, what was it that in him, was it like he knew what he was about going into it, but he didn't, something about the class shocked him out of that and was able to make him say, oh, wow.
Right. I think that's another interesting part, is to figure out what that is. I think that it's different for everybody. I think that with the gentleman I was just talking about, I think that it was, he couldn't write down anything positive about himself. And that was the thing that broke through, and he was like, wow, you know, I can't even believe that. For myself, I think that it was the driving in the rear view, just because my inner critic was always on me about my past. So I think that was my breakthrough. I was like, oh man, maybe this does work. Let me do the breathing exercises again.
That's a good point. Not going in the past.
Yeah.
About myself.
Yeah, totally.
Great. So, what do you view as the most challenging thing in your work here?
Most challenging, with the curriculum or just at the mid?
Just as a whole, yeah, in general.
The hardest thing for me is to see the suffering. There's people out there who can't help themselves, that are homeless and stuff like that, and that is hard for me because there's only so much that I can offer. I'm not sure what branch of the whole system is falling short, but that's the hardest part. But then on the flip side of that, there are people who have been homeless for years and they're outside and they're actively using and stuff like that, but they're still a person. They still have like happiness, and they still have good days and things like that. So that's uplifting to see them, you know, come around the corner one day and being in a really good mood and like, oh, guess what? I did my VI Spadat, and I'm like, oh, cool, you know. So that is the uplifting part, and that I try to focus on, because it can get pretty drab.
Yeah. And do you feel like impact has helped you to maybe like interact with those situations a little in a different way?
Yes, especially because they are in such a down situation. They are easily worked up, especially when there's no housing or no shelter available for them at that time. And it's easy for me to take that personally, and like, so to be able to step back and breathe, think, choose, and then act. I think that helps because I'm just seeing it visually on that paper was really like I see it every time. Envision that piece of paper every time I have to use it. I'm like, okay, this person's having a bad day, you know, like I gotta be able to be mindful of that, and that helps a lot with that.
Do you view that activity in particular as the most effective one, or is there something else that's more effective?
I think that is very effective. The breathing, the conscious breaths are very effective, and I also think that the tools to quieting your inner thoughts, your inner negative thoughts, is very helpful.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let me see. So we know that there's also a lot of interaction going on, you know, like the curriculum is very discussion based. What have you learned from others in the curriculum, like maybe as a participant or now as a facilitator or before as a co-facilitator as well?
With this particular company, there's a lot of musicians. I didn't know that. And then a lot of people we all have a lot of the same hobbies, or we're a lot more like-minded than I had initially thought. I don't really know what I thought before, but I think this just shows how strong of a team we could be if we just got to know one another and interacted with each other, so that we can, as a whole organization, be more solid, consistent, and accountable to each other. And I think that's really interesting, because people who are brand new, and then so people who are on the clean team and they're brand new can now feel comfortable up here at DSA, or even know that they're a part of this. And I think that's really solidifies the working relationship.
So you think that it helps with team building?
Yeah, I think this is the best team building I've ever had a chance to work with. A lot of the other curriculums that I've taken, like just like court-ordered ones, are like, I'm like, oh gosh, you know, it's just not personal, I guess. Not I don't know if it's deep, but in tune with what's really going on, I guess, with everyday life.
So I know that there was one particular module about goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
Did you set any goals in that module?
I did. So it was because my role is brand new, and so I get to kind of set the pace for it. And so I have a goal that I'm working towards now. I just had a meeting to start that. It's been a weird time in between the start of our curriculum but until now. But now that I have that in the process, I think that I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look back to that. I'm going to reference it now, because I wasn't thinking of it pertaining to that, but I think I will. My goal is to be consistent, to be accountable, and just be available and there. I think I say that because I had a surgery when this first started, and then a lot of things that are going on in my personal life, I haven't been here as much as I want to. So I think that is my goal, is to be able to be the best stabilization and resource coordinator that the MID has ever seen, because there hasn't been one.
Great. And do you think DSA supports you in that goal?
So much. I've never had a job or a company, an HR, a vice president, be so compassionate and willing to work with me as Downtown Seattle Association. So good.
How did it help you?
It helped me not run, like, fight or flight. Once it starts to get too heavy, especially for me, I want to run. I just want to go. I don't want to deal with it. I want to avoid. And with having them as a support system, not only like to work with me because needing a day off or what have you, but they really care about you, and they let you know that. And it's really good, especially if you don't have like family or things like that, because my work is like, I call them my work family. I'm here a lot. More than home, seems like a lot of the time.
How would you describe impact to a friend?
Amazing. I'm like, So I have my workbook, and I've shown it to a couple of my friends, and they're like, well, when are we going to do the next one? I was like, oh, no, see, that's not how it works. I'm just sharing this with you. But I think that my friends see like the critical, that's your inner critic and stuff like that. Now they're speaking those terms like closed mindset or growth mindset and quieting my inner critic. And a lot of them, I shared that with them driving in the rear view, and a lot of my friends like to reference that as well, because there's a lot of opportunity for people re-entering, especially from like homelessness or jails or prisons, and that is really inspiring. It's like Impact is inspiring to me because of the things that I've learned to be able to share with people that I interact with in personal or at work, and then to help them be inspired and to feel confident enough to get to where they're going, where they want to be, instead of feeling stagnant. Because if you're not where you want to be, I think, either in your personal or professional life, it's not a good feeling. I don't think you're always not feeling good enough, or what have you. But I think when you're comfortable with yourself, then you can be comfortable in any situation, I think.
I agree. So, one last question.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe Impact in one word?
I want to choose the right word. Empowering.
All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I thought I was going to be nervous.
Oh, no, you're not nervous at all. At least it didn't seem like you were nervous.